Hey Lunch Tuckers, happy Labor Day Friday, the last real work day before the holiday weekend. And I understand if there's not going to be a lot of people on today, but something kind of came up in the last couple days that I realized we should probably talk about a little bit further. And that was what to consider when you're choosing an email service provider. Now, if you aren't quite aware of what I'm talking about, an email service provider is the way that you're going to send emails out to your clients. And if you aren't aware, you should never ever do that using Gmail or Hotmail or AOL or whatever you use for your personal email address. There's reasons that you shouldn't do that, but basically it's because it's illegal in a lot of places. You should not be using a personal email account for a business email. There's a lot of legalities involved. It has to do with the CAN-SPAM Act, which was passed in 2009. And what it means is that in order so that people can get off your list easily, they need to be able to unsubscribe. That's the cut and dry part of it. There are a lot more rules that it covers than that. But when you're using personal email, that's not something that they can do. You can't really just put an unsubscribe link on there. So, and in some countries, it's actually it's required that you use a business email address. Okay, so if you're going to do a business email account, you're going to want to use an email service provider service. And that might be, you might recognize names like MailChimp, Constant Contact, Aweber, GetResponse. There's a bunch of them out there. And those services specialize in helping you market your business using email. So they have all of the features that you need to meet all the legality requirements, but they also have really cool things, like they might have stock photos that you can use in your HTML layouts if you choose to do that. They will have some other features that you can use, like autoresponders and dripping out content, depending on the one that you choose. So that's what an email service provider is, and those are some of the biggies. Now, that being said, there are a few that I don't recommend if you are starting out with a new business. A lot of people tend to use MailChimp, and I have to say, MailChimp does have its time and its place, but if you are building an online business where you are going to need to segment your lists, if you're going to want to be able to use a lot of reporting features, MailChimp is really not the one for you. And the same thing goes for Constant Contact. Constant Contact allows you to make beautiful, beautiful newsletters. But in terms of list building and segmentation and those kinds of things, that's really not what it's designed for. It's designed to be a really easy way to get newsletters out to clients and have them look really pretty. So those two are two that I really don't recommend. Now, after this live today, I will put a link underneath the video with a freebie that I have that is all the top email service providers and I filled in the different criteria of things to consider so that it makes it easier for you to choose the one that will be best for you. So I'll put a little link to that right below this video, and you'll be able to have access to that. Now, one of the things I recommend when you're trying to choose your email service provider is that you start with a free trial. Most of them have at least a 30-day free trial. Some of them, instead of the free trial, they have a 30-day money-back guarantee, something along those lines. And even if you're not ready to start sending emails now, pretend that you are. Go in there, create an email, maybe just type up some dummy copy and have some photos that you want to use or something, and try to send an email to yourself. You are going to spend a lot of time in your email service provider, be it GetResponse or whatever. And for ease of use, I use GetResponse. I will probably just say GetResponse the rest of the time. It's a little bit easier than email service provider. I also call it an ESP, generically. So let's say you're using GetResponse. You are going to be in there to not only create emails, but you'll probably be doing newsletters in there. You may be setting up pretty sophisticated autoresponder sequences. For those of you who don't know what an autoresponder sequence is, that is something that goes out to your clients automatically. And usually it's triggered by them joining your list. So on my site, the way it works is if you go to LaunchTechMadeEasy.com, you will see an opt-in form with a box that is offering you access to my technology roadmap. Pretty cool opt-in. just in case you're wondering. And then when somebody clicks that button, they automatically get the free PDF, okay, after they've confirmed their email address and everything. Well, then the next day, they get a welcome email from me. Now, I hate to burst your bubble, but I am not getting up every single morning and finding out who's emailed me the day before or who joined my email list and typing out a welcome email to them. That is on an autoresponder. And so GetResponse knows that on the first day after someone joins my list, that they need to send out this autoresponder, okay? And most businesses have those set up for the first few days that somebody joins their list. In mine, you get a welcome email, and then you have access to the email service provider comparison chart too. I give that to you as a little bonus free gift. So that is what an autoresponder series is. You set it up, and it delivers your content for you at the time, and you can be very specific about the time. With GetResponse, you can even choose the time of day that you want them to receive the email, or you can choose that they get follow-up emails at the exact same time they subscribe to your list. So if you think your audience works on their business at a particular time every single day, then you can make sure that your email is going into their inbox at that particular time every day. So that's just kind of one of the fun features of GetResponse. I haven't ever really used it that much, but it's there if I wanted to. So not only am I using my ESP, GetResponse, for sending out my newsletters every week, but I'm also sending out autoresponders, and they're different. Newsletters go out every week to everybody on my list. Mine is really simple. Some of you maybe get it every week. It's usually just a plain email, and but I send it out via my newsletter, the newsletter feature, and it might have a link to a cool article or a video that I shot during the week for people, and it doesn't have any pictures usually, and it's just very plain. It's still considered a newsletter, okay, for email purposes and for email service purposes. So that's the difference between newsletters and autoresponders. In any case, you're going to want to fool around a little bit inside of whichever email service provider you are considering, just to see how hard or how easy is it for you to work within that system. Every one of them has their little quirks, their little strange things that you'll need to figure out along the way. GetResponse has some things, and I won't go into them now because it would just confuse you because you aren't in GetResponse necessarily, but there are some little quirky things in GetResponse that I know I have to look at every single time I send out an email. Just one little example is that in GetResponse, your sent from email, which is Tracy from Launch Tech Made Easy, does not necessarily default to be the same as your reply to email. And so every time I go to send an email, I have to double check that, because if my reply to email and my sent from email are not exactly the same, it will get caught in spam filters. And I found that out the hard way. So, every one of them has some little quirks. So you're going to want to look at the newsletter autoresponders, how easy that is to navigate for you. You also want to look at how would you segment a list if you wanted to. So segmenting a list is really useful when you're trying to test out where people are reading your content, where they're opting in to your lists. And in a lot of cases, your list, your forms and your lists are held in your email service provider. So you need to know, okay, I got 6 people signed up yesterday. Where'd they come from? And can I move them from one list to another? Those types of questions. And you'll need to be able to figure out how easy that is for you to do. So when you're signed up for the free trial, think it through. Think about, okay, what am I going to want to do beyond just newsletters and emails in this email service provider, and how easy is that for me to do? Here's an example. Right now on my website, people can opt in on the front page to get my technology roadmap. Other places, people can opt in to get on my list via a link to get my ESP comparison chart that I just showed you. So at the end of the day, I need to know who came from where. So those people are added to different lists. Then periodically, I'll merge them to the same list. If I'm doing a launch or I want to do a big email to everybody, I can merge those 2 lists together within GetResponse. Some email providers don't allow that. Some ESPs don't allow that. So you're going to want to check on that and how you can move people from list to list and the segmentation and that kind of thing, if that's something that you think will be important in your business. If you're going to do an online business where you know people will be opting in from different areas, I would highly recommend that you really take a deep look at list segmentation, because that's something you're going to want to be able to do. Also, take a look at reporting. Does the reporting make sense to you? Are you a charts and graphs person? Are you an Excel spreadsheet person? Because different sites do their reporting in different ways. Different ESPs do their reporting differently. Is there an app for on the go? Just today, I happened to pull up the Get Response app on my on my iPad, and found that the interface there for reporting is completely different than the interface when I log in on the web on my computer. And so, the reporting on my iPad makes complete sense to me in a way that it doesn't when I'm on the computer, but that makes complete sense to the person that I have on my team who has to analyze those numbers. So kind of go through and look at the reporting, especially if you're small and you're going to be doing looking at your own reporting. You'll want to see, what times of days are people opting in, where are they opting in from, those kinds of things. Make sure that makes sense to you. Can you split test? Some of the accounts, I think MailChimp is one of them, you cannot split test if you're on a free trial. And, that's neither here nor there, I guess, if you're eventually going to pay for the version that you want. But make sure that A/B split testing isn't like 2 or 3 levels above what you would need to buy otherwise. A/B split testing should be really something basic that you can do even when your list is just starting out. And what A/B split testing means is if you're sending out an email and you're sending it out to your list, but you really can't decide between this subject line and this subject line, you can set it up in your email service provider so it will, let's say your list is 100 people, and 100 people is probably a little small for an A/B split test, but let's say it's 100 people because that's a round number. What Get Response will do if I set this up is it will send this subject line out to 25 people and this subject line out to 25 people, and depending on how many people open it, it will choose which one has the better open rate or conversion rate or click rate, whatever I've selected, and then it will take the other 50 emails that haven't been sent yet, and it will send to the one that has the highest conversion rate. So that's a cool feature, and you can even use that for landing pages and for different things too, to check different colors, or to check, if I word a link this way versus that way, which way are people more likely to click on it? So A/B split testing is definitely something that you'll be using, and even if you don't realize it quite yet, and so you want to make sure that you'll have access to that. And then I also mentioned, again, you really want to be able to move people easily from one list to another. So let's say you're running a special promotion and a bunch of people join your list, and oh wow, that promotion really, really worked. Maybe it's a coupon you ran, or you went to a networking event and you handed out a special card with a URL on it, and you got a bunch of people that came to your list from there. So now, wow, that really worked, sweet. But you don't want to have to continue to keep mailing to those people separately, right? So how easy is it to then roll that list into your bigger list? For some email service providers, that's really easy with Get Response. And I am not an affiliate for Get Response, so I probably should be, but I'm not. So I'm just telling you using them because that's what I use. For Get Response, all I have to do is click a box and I can move them over to my other list. Some email service providers, you might need to call in and they'll do it for you, and maybe that's easier for you, but make sure that that's something that you can do, or at least that when you're sending out when you're sending out an email or a promotion, that you can send it to multiple lists at the same time without people getting duplicate copies. So if they're on a couple different lists of yours, make sure they're not going to get that same email 3 times, because that would be pretty annoying. Usually that's like a no-brainer. That's something that won't happen, but it doesn't hurt to check into it. And then finally, one of the things that I think is very cool about Get Response in particular, and I don't know if other email service providers do this. When I used to use Aweber, they did not, and I know Constant Contact doesn't, but some of the others might. And that is, when you're using double opt-in, and I always use double opt-in, sometimes people will not go to their email and confirm their email address. If they don't confirm their email address, you can't mail to them. They will not receive anything you send to them until they confirm their email address. In my case, they don't get their free PDF unless they've confirmed, so it's sort of like, well, you didn't give me the email address, you don't get my PDF. But for some people, it's a bigger deal than that. They really, really want to make sure that people are seeing that they should go to their email address and double opt in. So with GetResponse, I can send a reminder email to say, hey, don't forget to opt in. And you can't send it right away, and you can send it a certain, like you can't send it every day or anything like that, but you can send it a few times. And I'm pretty sure the reason it does this is because it gives you, like, maybe it got blocked for one reason one day and it won't get blocked another day. Maybe their email inbox was really full that day and they missed it, whatever, but it does allow you to do that. And that's really nice because I recoup about 50% of my opt-ins by sending an email to them and reminding them, please go and opt in. Okay, so that's something else. It's kind of a little bonus thing. Like I said, I don't know if anybody does that besides GetResponse. Okay, and some other features that are kind of fun that some email service providers may have that you can look into to see if it's something that you are interested in. They don't all have these options. Things like surveys. If you think you're going to be doing a lot of surveys, some of them offer surveys right within the email service provider. They're not always fancy. It may not be as fancy as buying an outside survey program, but it gives you a way to do surveys. Some of them have landing page options. Again, it's not lead pages, but if you're just starting out, it might be good enough. So see if they offer that. Sometimes there's an added charge. See how good it is. Is it something you're actually going to be willing to use? Is it going to serve your needs? Or is it just something that they kind of stuck on there to say that they can offer landing pages? Really, go in depth. And then finally, some of them are even offering webinars now. I know GetResponse is testing that out. So if you're just starting out with webinars, you may want to check that out and say, is that going to be a legitimate way for you to do a webinar? I mean, if you have a 10-person webinar, or, I would guess they probably go up to 50 or 100 people. I haven't tested it on GetResponse yet. But is that something you might find value in? Because all of these things cost money from somewhere. So if you're not doing it within your email service provider and you want to do a webinar or you want to have landing pages, you're going to have to pay someone or some service for that service, for that hard program. You'll have to have a webinar program, or you'll have to have a landing page program. So in some cases, it's a really great way when you're first starting out to kind of bundle things and make it affordable for you. And they're probably not going to be super fancy, but that's okay. To start out, that's okay. And the other benefit is they're probably going to integrate really well with your email because they're all in the same service. So those are some of my tips about email service providers. I hope that it has answered some of the questions I've had. I got some questions via comments about the differences between some of the terms and technology, and like I said, I've got that really great comparison sheet that goes through the biggies. Email service providers can range in price from, once you get past the free trial, they can range in price from $15 a month up to, Infusionsoft is hundreds of dollars a month. And honestly, I don't even work with Infusionsoft. I don't work with clients who work with Infusionsoft. I think it's a little bit bigger than what I even need for my business. But the others, and it is on that comparison sheet just so you can see what it offers, but the others that are on there are more $15 to like $79 a month, depending on, usually the price is based on how many people are on your list, which is kind of nice because then the price builds as your business builds. So that's it for today. I hope you have a really, really great weekend, and you're going to want to make sure you go to LaunchTechMadeEasy.com if you want the technology roadmap. There's an easy way to opt in and get that. And as a bonus, you will also get the email comparison guide. Don't tell anybody, that's a little surprise. Or if you're just interested in the email comparison guide, I'll put the link right under this Facebook Live video as soon as I get it up on my page. So I hope you have a great Friday. We'll see you next week. Oh, I won't be here on Monday. I'm going to be doing something that's not labor on Monday. Relaxing, I hope. So we'll see you on Tuesday at 2 p.m. Central. Thanks. Bye-bye.